What up, guys? Swift here, breaking down former Patriots wide receiver and first round pick N'Keal Harry. I already dropped a highlight video and quick breakdown on the move, but I decided to go deep with this one and watch as much tape on N'Keal as I could find. Be sure to hit that like button for me. I'm going to cover not only what kind of player he is and what he brings to Chicago, but what went wrong in New England. Let's get into it. N'Keal Harry is a 6'4", 220-pound beast and a first round pick from 2019 out of Arizona State. In his 3 seasons in New England, he combined for 57 catches, 598 yards, and 4 touchdowns. His 3 years at Arizona State were much more productive, as he had 213 catches, 2,889 yards, and 22 touchdowns. He had over 1,000 yards and 8+ touchdowns during his sophomore and junior season before skipping his senior season and going pro. He also added 3 rushing touchdowns and a punt return touchdown. He is very athletic, which fits what Ryan Poles looks for. He scored an 8.45 RAS score and has an impressive 38.5-inch vertical. He can really go up and get it and moss people. He isn't a speed burner and sometimes can look a bit sluggish on tape. He does have 4.53 speed though, and I believe he can shake the reputation of being slow. I also believe we will have him drop 10 to 15 pounds during training camp, which could possibly unleash his speed and athleticism a bit more. So let's go over his strengths and weaknesses as a player. His biggest strength is his size and frame. He has ideal frame for an X receiver in the NFL. He has long arms, is 6'4" and over 200 pounds. He has great hands and can make spectacular catches. He excels at going up and catching jump balls. He also specializes at back shoulder catches and fades, which are used quite frequently in the NFL. He is tough, physical, and scrappy, which leads to him being a great blocker in the run game and screen game. He can dominate and manhandle smaller corners and even block front 7 players at times. He was rated as the second best run blocking receiver in the entire NFL last season, behind only Byron Pringle. He uses his hands well to fight off corners and beat press coverage. He runs with power and he has a great stiff arm. He excelled in college at making defenders miss and was dangerous after the catch. He looks like a talented kid who loves the game of football. He knows how to use his leverage to box out defenders and gives quarterbacks a large throwing area. He tracks the ball very well and he can moss defenders as well as anyone in the league. So what about his weaknesses? He lacks burst and top end speed. He isn't quick or twitchy, more of a fast and powerful runner. He fails to create much separation. His run after the catch and tackle breaking ability has not been nearly as good at the NFL level. He needs to hit holes a bit harder. This definitely can be attributed to limited opportunities and doing things the Patriot way. So not a huge worry yet. He also had a bit of an issue with concentration drops in practice and preseason for New England. A lot of talks about how he has bad hands and drops a lot of balls, but he only dropped 3 passes officially as a New England Patriot. Defenders aren't scared of his deep speed and will set on his routes and try to jump them. He also hasn't produced much yet at the NFL level. So let's get into some of the all 22 film work. I watched 7 games from 2021 and 3 each from 2020 and 2019. The first thing I noticed watching last year's Patriots film was how they catered to their rookie quarterback. They rarely put him in a position where he had to make big plays. The offense was designed around the running game and quick passes and screens to the running backs in the flat and tight ends. Wide receivers were used more as blockers and decoys, especially on first and second down. I watched about 7 games from last year because Harry simply wasn't involved in the offense for the most part. This is a team that would run on second down and 19. I've seen Nagy do this before too, but he didn't do any of the other things that Belichick did to protect his young quarterback. In Nikhil's first year, he was only given a few opportunities. It was Tom Brady's last season in New England. His second season was spent playing in a high school type of offense that ran the ball with running backs and Cam Newton and rarely even involved the wide receivers. And then in year 3, he was in another simplified offense that focused on getting the ball out quickly to tight ends and running backs in the flat. Bottom line is that N'Keal Harry didn't have many chances in New England. His primary job was blocking. What wide receiver wants to spend their third season in the NFL blocking about 75 to 80% of the time? For that reason, Kill requested a trade last year in training camp. That obviously just upset Bill Belichick, who did not grant that trade request and instead made Harry run block all season, playing in 12 games and only getting 22 total targets. In the NFL, opportunity means almost as much as talent. It's hard to produce when you don't have an opportunity to do that. Considering Kill was a first round pick in his third season in the NFL, you would give him more than 22 targets over a full season ideally. A-Rob complained about getting 66 targets last year, 3 times more than Harry got. At the same time, N'Keal Harry was graded as the second best run blocker in the NFL at wide receiver. Meanwhile, A-Rob was seen on tape consistently giving little to no effort in the block game. I want to point this out because A-Rob was our ex-receiver, and that is the position Harry plays. Harry is a much better run blocker than A-Rob, and he has a similar style of game. Both of them run about a 4.5 40 and specialize in making contested catches and spectacular catches. I heard a lot of people giving Harry flack, saying his hands are questionable. He had incredible hands in college, and sometimes guys do have concentration drops in the NFL. But let's compare him to A-Rob in that department. A lot of people think A-Rob has great hands and Harry has bad hands. Let's dive into that a little bit more. Harry only has 3 career drops in the NFL. He has more if you count preseason, but in the NFL, he has dropped 3 total passes. A-Rob, on the other hand, has dropped 5 passes over the last 2 years and 10 passes in his first 2 years as a Bear, meaning he has 15 drops in 4 years. But people think he's so much better than N'Keal Harry. Yeah, he has produced, but he also has had more of an opportunity. Considering how good of a blocker Harry is, now he's going to get an opportunity to make an impact. He fits this roster like a glove and fills a need that fans have been clamoring for all offseason. A big, physical ex-receiver. So why is everyone hating on the move? The main reason is because it doesn't fit their narrative that the Bears have no weapons and did nothing to help Justin Fields. Let's talk a little bit about N'Keal Harry at Arizona State. I decided to go back and watch another full game of N'Keal Harry in college. I chose his game versus the Washington Huskies. I believe it was in 2017. I didn't note it down. It was a matchup where he faced off against future Packers second round draft pick Evan King for most of the game. Not only was Harry extremely physical and showed incredible hands at Arizona State, but the biggest part of his game was his ability with the ball in his hands. He was elite at breaking tackles and almost always made at least one guy miss after the catch. He specialized in making someone miss and getting those precious extra yards. One of the things I noticed in New England is they didn't use him this way. Rarely was he put in a position to pick up extra yards over his time as a Patriot. I will admit he failed at a few of those opportunities he got as a rookie, but he also had limited success. The biggest problem was he didn't get many opportunities. The only time the Patriots used him like he was supposed to be used was in spurts as a rookie. But he failed to capitalize on a couple of those opportunities, and Brady didn't trust him. His second season was Cam Newton the Massacre. The offense was just awful. All they did is run the ball. N'Keal Harry had no chance to be a productive wide receiver in 2020. Then we got to 2021, and the Patriots looked to be gearing towards that run-heavy offense. So as you can see, there were plenty of reasons why he wasn't successful in New England. You have to look a little bit deeper sometimes. Other reasons why N'Keal hasn't been successful in the NFL: opportunities and scheme fit are real things. Some players simply don't get enough opportunities, and others just don't really fit in the scheme. Both of these scenarios played a part in Harry's time in New England. However, there were other factors as well. He built a reputation for dropping passes in practice and preseason. He only dropped 3 passes officially in the NFL, but he had others where he just didn't do the quarterback any favors. He had great hands in college, and he was supposed to be able to adjust to poorly thrown balls. But I saw a few instances on tape where a ball was poorly thrown, but Harry had a chance to make a play and failed to do so. There's also a couple of instances where he had room on the sideline to make a play, but he fails to get both his feet in bounds. These are things that Harry needs to improve upon he wants to stick around in the NFL. He did showcase the ability to do both of these things in college, but he has to put in the work. Honestly, he just didn't get enough opportunities to truly judge him in the NFL yet. He has all the ability to be a playmaker. He just has to put it together. One thing he has struggled with in the NFL that he didn't in college is breaking tackles. Harry's lack of separation has been a thing since college. But the biggest difference is he was routinely able to make at least one guy miss. In the NFL, he has too easily been brought down by arm tackles and failed to make moves on NFL defenders. N'Keal was excellent at Arizona State at making people miss, making moves, stiff-arming guys off him, and getting extra yards. He just hasn't showcased that talent at the NFL level very much. I do believe the ability is there. I also think once he gets into camp in Chicago, that Flus and company plan on making him run and run and run some more. I expect Harry will lose at least 10 pounds and possibly be able to play a little quicker. This could really help his game. At times, he was just a little too slow in New England. So what about his game overall? His biggest strengths he brings to the table are great hands, his contested catch ability, his awesome run blocking, and his blocking in general, and then his physicality. His biggest weaknesses are his separation, his speed, his consistency, and he's had some nagging injuries. His question marks are whether or not he can stay healthy and break tackles at the NFL level. He has all the ability you want from a wide receiver, and he's still younger than Velus Jones Jr., so people calling him a bust are a bit premature in my opinion. The ball is in Harry's court. This could be the best opportunity he ever gets in the NFL. He joins a young, hungry roster that is lacking a big physical red zone presence in the wide receiver room. If he can make some plays in camp and preseason, he has a chance to not only make the roster, but to be a part of this offense. His run blocking is clearly valued by the coaching staff. Both Harry and Pringle were on top of PFF's blocking charts, so we got rid of A-Rob, who was terrible at blocking last year, and brought in 2 guys who excel in that category. Velus Jones Jr. also shows a lot of potential as a blocker. In another theme of the offseason, Harry is another guy who is hungry and has a chip on his shoulder. He has been labeled as a bust by some and written off by others. He isn't the only wide receiver in the room who fits this mold. Dante Pettis, Tajay Sharp, David Moore, and Equanimous St. Brown all fit this mold. It's impossible that they all break out, but it is almost probable that one of them will surprise people this year. Dante Pettis was my favorite wide receiver addition behind Pringle as far as a free agent was concerned this year. Velus Jones Jr. and Pringle will have roles in this offense. I think one more guy has a chance to make some noise this year. Will it be Dante Pettis? Will it be Equinemius St. Brown? I think N'Keal Harry has just as much talent as any of these guys, and he will get a chance to showcase those talents soon. So as the bottom line, I have one final point here. It's called the Luke. I made this point on Coach T's show earlier, and we spoke a lot about it. People act like the Patriots don't make mistakes. I touched on it previously, but the Patriots haven't developed a wide receiver in about 20 years. The one guy was Julian Edelman, who was a 7th-round pick and a college quarterback. Did they develop him, or did him and Tom Brady staying late after practice, working on their chemistry? That's what made them better. I believe it's the latter. The Patriots drafted Keel over Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, and DK Metcalf. They took Harry with the last pick of the first round, and those other 3 guys all went in the second. Harry has been seen by scouts as a perfect fit as an X receiver and potential #1 weapon in an NFL offense. He hasn't been close to that yet. But what do we have that the Patriots didn't? Luke Getsy, guy who has proven to develop talent in the NFL and is actually credited for developing a guy who is not only one of the best receivers in the entire NFL, but also was considered a bust early in his career until Luke Getsy turned him around. That guy is Devontae Adams. Similar to N'Keal Harry, Adams also doesn't have elite speed and has to use his footwork, leverage, and great hands to make an impact in the NFL. Luke Getsy helped turn Adams into one of the best in the entire league. He is now going to be working with N'Keal Harry and the rest of the Chicago Bears offense. So bottom line is Harry went from a place known to fail at developing wideouts and now gets to work with a guy who is proven to develop wide receivers. On this note, Luke Getsy has also been working with Equinemius St. Brown for the last couple of years, so maybe there's something there as well. So the final thought on N'Keal Harry is that he is a big, physical wideout who has first-round pedigree, is only 24 years old, and has a lot of untapped potential. He is a kid who works hard and loves the game of football. We acquired this guy by giving up a 7th-round pick in 2024. This is the absolute definition of low risk and high reward. If Harry doesn't make the roster, it costs us virtually nothing. However, he is as talented as any other wideout on our team and will have a chance to make an impact in Chicago this season. Don't sleep on this kid. Don't sleep on N'Keal Harry. As always, I appreciate everyone who watched the video. Please, please, please hit that like button for me. I have tons more Bears videos coming. Training camp is coming up, and I cannot wait to watch Justin Fields and the Bears play this season. Stay tuned, and until next time, bear down. Thanks for watching Swift Sports. Remember, hit that like button. Make sure you sub. Until next time, bear down.